Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Keith Good, Spiritual Seeker here at Good's Holistic Healing. I've had the privilege of being asked to be interviewed on a podcast, and I'll be interviewed several times over the next several months, and as they come out I'll be posting them on YouTube as I can. I've done 3 already that are audio only, and you can find them on my website, or links to them on my website. They can also be found on iHeart and Spotify, Simplecast, and many other podcast network media outlets. And I'm just going to really enjoy doing this for you folks. I'm not getting paid for this. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome back to the show. Keith Good joining us here once again, our Reiki practitioner and energy healer at Good's Holistic Healing. Excited to have him back here to talk more about all the services he provides as an energy healer. Living in Billings, Montana, he's a Reiki master, crystal Reiki master, spiritual mentor, meditation guide, crystal healer, chakra clearer, and so much more. Let me have him introduce himself. Go ahead.
Well, my name is Keith Good, and I'm a spiritual seeker by trade, and that brought me into doing some Reiki, and then I do also, as I spiritual mentoring. I do some meditation work with a lot of people, and I also do. I'm starting actually in January. Probably we'll start doing some shadow work. We'll go into that in another show exactly what that is, but um, we do a lot of things here, and we also do the Akashic record readings, which is interesting sort of thing to go with. But my top main ones are Reiki, spiritual mentoring, and meditation. Those are the top ones, and then we do the other two, the Akashic records, and we'll be doing shadow work shortly.
Wow. So you do a lot, and you're here to talk to us today. Again, the websites that we can find you, I think it's important. How can we reach out to you?
Okay, well, you can go to goodsholistichealing.com, and you can email me at info@goodsholistichealing.com. And you can also call me at 406-272-6006. Keep in mind, if you call, make sure you leave a message. If I'm with another client or busy doing other things, as always, you'll have to leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I know you offer all different types of energy modalities, and I know they shouldn't be substituted for medical treatment. As we know, we recommend everyone seeks a healthcare professional, but there's so much truth into the work that you're doing and how it's helping people. And oh, my camera fell. So many amazing stories of people you're healing. Do you want to share some of those and focus on, some of these services, how they all work together?
Yeah, well, as a typically I do give a 1 hour free consultation. And this consultation is really to find out where you are, where you want to go, if my services are resonate with you, and if they don't resonate with you, I'll work with you to find the right practitioners that do resonate with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in this by myself. I'm not an end all be all situation. But typically, through this consultation that I have, which is quite long because it takes a while for people to understand. I mean, most people try and only give 15-minute consultations, and I just don't feel that's enough to really get to know the practitioner to get to know the heading of the person. So we try to start out with that. And oftentimes we then go on to doing several Reiki sessions. And this is basically to get your energies moving inside of you, to try to start healing you, to try to start calm you down. And it seems to work quite well. Reiki in and of itself can be healing. As a matter of fact, Jill was just saying we don't substitute medical, and we don't. However, there are places that use Reiki along with medical, such as Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic. All use these mostly in a hospice situation, but they're getting more and more. I've had people tell me, especially nurses and a physical therapist one time when I sprained my ankle said that everybody heals faster when they're having Reiki being channeled at the same time that they're being dealt with in a medical situation. So that's interesting for everybody to know. But after we do the Reiki for a while, then we let you help. We sort of go along with wherever you want to go, but oftentimes it then goes on to spiritual mentoring and then into meditation, and we do it in that fashion usually because we want people to go where they are going. You know, we want them to choose their path. This is not about my path and me trying to tell you how to do anything. This is about you finding your own truth, you finding your own path. Ultimately, what I'm trying to do is to raise the consciousness of the world in whatever manner we can. So we work together on all these. And then, of course, we can fit in the Akashic records. When the Akashic records are very briefly are records of everything you've thought, heard, seen, felt, experienced, all goes into a basically a universal internet. And because each one of us has our own vibration, I can tune into that vibration and get information. However, you have to have a question for your records to ask, and then it will be answered. It's not like a psychic that just goes in and says, "Well, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen." This is more about asking a question like, um, how am I supposed to proceed?" Or maybe you want to know what your purpose in life is, or and it doesn't even have to be that spiritual or that broad. It can be as simple as, you know, what is next in my life to do right now. They don't like when questions, but that's because
Yeah.
in the universe there is no such thing as time.
Hmm.
So they don't ask when questions very well. They'll tell you all kinds of things.
So
So, and then
true.
of course, like I said, in January we're going to start shadow work, and
Yes.
we'll get into that
What is by
deeper
the
in
what is
another
shadow work?
session.
Could you mind sharing what that is specifically?
I can give you a brief. It can become very involved. It
Okay.
usually takes a couple of years to go through it. And what
Oh,
it is
just a quick overview. We
all
don't have years.
right. No, I mean, when you get into the shadow
No,
work
I know,
itself,
I
it'll
know.
take years for you to do it, right? So what it is that every one of us has issues. There's what we grew up. We have parental pressures, peer pressures, government pressures, social pressures, all kinds of these outside pressures that have brought us in. And some of this stuff no longer serves us. And we have pushed it down inside of us. And we have pushed it down to the point that it can create all kinds of mental issues, physical issues, or any number of types of issues. So let's just say real quick that you were my favorite one is you had a lollipop given to you when you were 6 years old, and mom put you out on the porch so you didn't get sticky. 10 minutes later, mom comes back and says, "I've got to go to the store. You can't stay home alone, so you're going with me, but you can't have that lollipop in the car. I don't want my car sticky." Well, that becomes very traumatic to you, and you start bawling and crying and making a hissy fit. And then every time something is taken away from you, you react in the same way you did at 6 years old.
Mhm.
And that is a shadow that you've pushed down because you didn't have the adult mind to reason it properly. You didn't have the right way of dealing with any of it. So we go back, and that's just one instance. And some of these things are before our time of even mental capacity, like from infancy. You can actually be traumatized through the birth canal because some people become claustrophobic through that because of, you know, so these are shadows. But the one thing we always want to make sure of about a shadow is you can't have a shadow unless there is light. Otherwise,
Wow.
everything is dark. So
Ah,
there has to be light to work toward if there's a shadow. So we can work through this and get and release those things that are no longer serving us and change. That's how we can change core beliefs from belief systems that were odd or not serving us or in some way, so we can then move on and find our own truths. But we oftentimes get bogged down because of when we're trying to find our own truth and we're spiritual seeking, we get bogged down because we're still believing in those core beliefs that just interfere with a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Hmm.
This happens usually with well, oftentimes it happens with both religious pressures and parental pressures and sibling pressures. And of course, as you get older, when you get into middle school and high school, now you have the peer pressures and you want to be part of the crew, you want to be the jock, you want to be the cheerleader, you want to be whatever. So you conform to the way of them doing it. And as you get older, that no longer serves you. Or or you might have been bullied and that created some you push down some feelings from that bully. And these are usually shoved down feelings, is what they are. They're and as one lady that I was reading and I saw a thing on TV about her name Linda Ford, I think it was. Anyway, she says each one of these is like a beach ball in a swimming pool, and you can only hold so many beach balls down before one pops up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you grab it, another one pops up, and when you grab it, another one pops up. So these are always popping up
Yeah,
around you, creating creating issues for you in your life. So Debbie Ford, that's her name, Debbie Ford.
got it. All right. Perfect. All right. Well, let's continue. There's still so many services you provide, and I'm glad you're here today discussing it all because so many of us can really benefit from this. And I love this virtual world of being here, like you and I are on a Zoom call, and these services can work. Is there any services specifically that need to be hands-on in person?
Um, Actually, no,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
no,
Cool.
because
It's so cool.
energy knows no time or distance. So I can actually channel Reiki to someone in Australia without them. I don't even have to have them on Zoom to do that. They can just call me up and say, hey, I'd like a Reiki session, and we can do a distance Reiki. I do it on Zoom. I have my own Zoom. Matter of fact, everything I offer now is only offered virtually because I'm starting to travel. My
Mm-hmm.
first travel date is tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
But so we do Reiki, we can do Reiki, we can do Akashic Records. Actually, I was taught Akashic Records on a Zoom conference. And of course, we can do any of the others. I do. I mean, some people don't like it that way, but I've actually shut down my brick and mortar because I want to do some traveling. I want to be able to do some other things out there because I no longer have a 9 to 5 job. I don't have I'm retired from regular work. So that gives me the ability to be able to do my passion and to do this. And that way, and by doing it virtually, I can reach out to anybody in the world. So that's pretty cool in and of itself.
It is.
So
It
anything
is.
I do can be done virtually.
Awesome.
And
I
that's
love
very important to me.
Well, I love hearing stories of people that you've worked with, people that you know, have helped in so many different ways. Is there anything that you want to share specifically about the work you're doing? Because I know it's working, but it's always good to hear that, you know, that client who really had an amazing experience from, you know, your work, your healing in a sense.
Well, yeah, I'm dealing with one particular client right now who is questioning some things in her own from her past. And she has agreed. She hasn't put it on yet because we just redid our website, and I don't have my testimonial page up yet. But
Hmm.
she will be getting some
Cool.
testimonials on it. However, with that said, she it was a really funny thing when we talked to her about having her lawn, and this is a spiritual mentoring thing. and this is how things go in the spiritual mentoring. And I said, well, why do you have to keep up with the Joneses with your lawn? Well, I guess I don't. I said, well, there's nothing wrong with dandelions. I said, if you're going to do something organically and not put
Mm-hmm.
pesticides and herbicides on it, I said, didn't Source create the dandelions too? Isn't that part of the world?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this tree that we are beside part of the world? And she never realized, and a lot of people don't realize that we are part of the whole. We all came from one source. We all, whether you believe in the Big Bang Theory or creation, it came from one spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are connected to absolutely everything in the world and universe. And that's exactly why, and I was explaining this to her, and she was in quite awe about that. But that is exactly why we can work distance because we're connected to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so she's gonna be putting out, and we got some other testimonials coming in. But like I said, I just don't have my testimonial page up yet. We've been working on that, but I'm also getting ready to start traveling. So that's been a real, what would you say? That would be just a real challenge.
Got it. No, I
You
got
know,
it.
trying to sell our house and get everything going. And we'll
Awesome.
be traveling for a while, eventually settle somewhere.
Yeah, this is amazing. Oh my goodness. Well, I can't wait till the site's up. We love hearing the positive reviews. And just a little bit about your background, because new listeners may not know. How did you get into this field? Were you born this way? Like, could you share a little bit about your background?
Well, I could do a whole show just on that, but let's do it briefly today.
Yes, yes.
Because the reason I say that is because I was quite young when I knew I was different from everybody else, but I didn't know how to pursue it because I had a very organized religion parents,
Hmm.
and that created a real challenge. So I joined that organized religion without knowing what to do, knowing all the time that it wasn't. And I say early in life, I'm talking, well, it was before I moved to Pennsylvania, so I was probably 6 or 7 because we moved there. I turned 8. Um, so I just played along with the organized religion for many years, and then one day I looked. I was in. I was a. I raised sheep. Worked as a shepherd for many years, for 25 years, and I was on the open range in Wyoming, and I said, "How can the Bible be the only book, and the Quran be the only book, and the Torah be the only book?" And the Buddhist Sutras be the only writings. I said, this makes no sense to me. And that's when things started taking off, and I started looking into all this stuff. And that was back in the late 70s, early 80s, probably late 70s. I think I was out there in 77. So I realized then that we are the narrow minded people. The higher power or source is broad minded. It doesn't matter how we go about dealing with him or her, as long as we do.
Hmm.
And there's much more to it than just honoring him, like I always say, um, we're all taught to pray, but that's a one-sided conversation. We have to meditate in order to listen. And we don't one-sided conversations just don't go anywhere. And you can't and the answers are not boisterous voices in your head. The answers are the quiet voice you can't hear unless you calm down and listen. Because I don't know about anybody else, but I got a whole Congress up my head telling me
Hmm.
what to do.
Yeah.
And so we have to quiet ourselves. And that's what meditation is about. It's about quieting yourself down. It's about becoming, and you might not get the answer in the meditation, but meditation in and of itself will quiet you down to the point that you can be walking through a store or down the street and just have an aha moment or somebody will say something to you and you'll say, well, why didn't I think of that earlier? And these can be the answers. If they resonate with you on a subject that you've been dealing with, sometimes it takes you it's like, maybe I should be going down that path. I never thought of that path.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we work for finding your truth, not my truth, but your truth. Because your truth, when I went, I do have a master's degree in divinity of metaphysics. And when I first started at school, before I got my bachelor's from there, the first thing that was said to me was, there are as many religions as there are people in the world, because none of us interpret any of the spiritual writings in the same exact way. We all have our own interpretations of these writings. And sometimes it's not about the writing. Sometimes it's about guidance from outside of ourselves. Sometimes it's about spiritual guidance that we don't even realize is happening. And if we pay attention and we listen, we can get that
Mm-hmm.
spiritual guidance. And it comes to us through intuition, comes to us from aha moments. It comes to us through so many ways that it is just awe-stricken. I can become awe-stricken with what happens to people and my clients. You know, it's just so much that they say, "Wow, really?" I had one client one time say, "I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that we're all together, that we're all one. That we're one with the grass and the trees and the animals and the shrubbery and the fish and
Mm-hmm.
the birds. We're all one, and that's just in this world. What about the rest of
Yeah.
of the uh, of the universe? We don't know what's out there.
So
There's
true.
plenty out there. I mean, we know even in most faiths, you have what I call star peoples, which can be angels and archangels and cherubs, and those are still all star people are still in the universe somewhere.
So
So
true.
there are definitely other beings in this universe.
Ah, I know. It's so fun. I just saw the news article again from Mexico the other day about those beings, those little alien type of beings that were found. And people are, they're clearly they're saying there's DNA there that's non-human. It is DNA. It's not a hoax. It's not this. And I'm just like, my son is 7 and he's so excited about space these days and aliens and he's so into it. So I'm like fascinated by it now too. I remember all the old stories, Area 51, my father in the 40s, and it's
Oh
just
yeah.
like, wow. I'm like, totally, there is. And then there was a Harvard study recently saying how they may be living amongst us or under the water. So I don't know. It's fascinating. I so believe too. Wow. I know.
Well, how can there not be? I mean, there are the universe is bigger than we can't even get out of the solar system, let alone into the galaxy. And how many galaxies are in the universe? You can't tell me that there's not something else out there somewhere.
No, definitely.
So, so there's a lot. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot
Mm,
more to this than just what we see on the surface. And you spend years doing this seeking. You spend years, and I mean that's what Buddha did. That's what Jesus did. That's what Saint Francis of Assisi did. That's what every the Dalai Lama that we have today. I mean, these are all people who have spent their entire lives or years seeking what is there.
mhm. It's so
And
true.
if we can imagine it, it's here somewhere.
Ooh, I'm so
It's just the
excited
way
to
I
hear
think it
this.
works.
All right. Well, we still got 3 minutes left in the show. My goodness, it goes
3
fast.
minutes.
Yeah, a whole 3. What else do
It
you want to
is.
make sure we cover for today?
Well, I just want to make sure real quick, since we
Yeah.
do only have 3 minutes, I want to make sure real quick that people understand my audience understands that we don't, we have to constantly be living both on earth and in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we are out of balance. And we can get into that again in another show, but I want to make sure that we have to. So we have to be connected with Gaia or Mother Earth. We have to be connected with the rest of the universe. Without us, it's like a grain of sand. Without every grain of sand on the beach, there is no beach. Without every person in this world, there is no universe. We all are part of it. We all are important, and we all need to humble ourselves, understanding that we are only one piece of it. We're only one drop in the ocean, one grain of sand on the beach. But without those, we don't have the whole. So we have to make sure that. And I guess that's one of the biggest things we have to understand and try to go out and raise our consciousness. Because every time it's one person raises their consciousness, it bleeds over to another person wanting to raise their consciousness, and it continues to grow. And that's the most important thing for us to do right now.
Beautiful. Well, let's reach out. How can we get the help we need? How can we start to work with you? Explain the process.
Okay. All you have to do is get on to goodsholistichealing.com, go
Mm-hmm.
to book me, find the free consultation service and book one. If you don't like to do it that way, you can always call me at 406-272-6006, or you can email me at info@goodsholistichealing, and we will make the connection that needs to be made for whatever it is we have to do.
Oh, well, thank you. We're excited to have you here again. Wishing you luck. You're still packing up. Where are you headed?
It's headed actually back to your time zone. I'm headed to Western Pennsylvania.
Yay! Oh my goodness. Good for you. How long is the trip?
I'll be back by the 5th. Before our next show, I'll be back. I'm here
All
every
right.
2 weeks. I'll be back on Monday, and I'll be back here by the 5th on that Monday. So it
Beautiful.
doesn't mean we couldn't do it if I was on the road.
That's
Zoom works
true,
everywhere,
right?
right?
Yeah, there's always internet, right? Oh, thank you so much. Pleasure having you back, and we will connect when you get back. Sounds like a plan.
Subscribe, ring the bell, put in a thumbs up. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one. May you be spiritual in everything you do. With much love. Until the next time.